the thing is that the race is, we all know about it, but we forget.
I didn't even know.
No,
about
I didn't know. I wish I knew I would have run.
I would have done.
Oh yeah, you would have run. Yeah, you were
Then
telling
we
me
wouldn't
that.
have had you here with us.
No, I would have. I mean, I would. You know, like they start at 6, so at 7, you're 7:30 or that.
Yeah.
So why this song?
I think because ça commence là? We're on it?
We're chatting.
It's already started.
So why this song? Because I think this represents the states of the world today. I think we segregate people depending on where they're from and who they are and their color skin, their origin. The life of somebody is not the same worth as somebody else in the world, and I think this is. I'm sorry to start with this. I mean, sad note, but I think it's important to to speak about that, and yeah, having a platform to speak, I think it's important.
There's nothing. I mean, sad, happy, full of grief, full of chaos. It's all there, and it's for us to look at. And I think this is probably something that you turn into art, the suffering into art, which we're interested in.
It's remaking a point. It's like with no anger, with no raising his voice. The singer.
Exactly.
He's just saying like, okay, he's making a statement.
Yeah.
Okay. This is,
and he's delivering it the most peaceful way.
Yeah. تلك قضية وتلك قضية. And then so just like, you just say like, look at it. It's when you listen to him this way, it's so obvious. Everything that's, you try to save the turtle in the sea, but like you're letting like human die. I mean, so it's for me it's relevant to our time.
It is. Hello and welcome to Forward Moods, hosted by Lina Nahhas and Raja Haddad. A conversation with our guests about the path of their successful journeys, where they started, and what kept them moving forward in an ever-changing environment. Hello, Fawzi Al-Sid, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
So for those who don't know Fawzi, I call him Fawzi, but he's better known under the name of Al-Sid.
Yeah.
He's a contemporary artist whose practice bridges painting and sculptures, developing a unique visual landscape and language inspired by the tradition of calligraphy and the energy of urban art. I have to read the introduction so that we can set the scene for what we're going to be talking about. His work is characterized by intricate layers of color, symbols, and letters that convey universal messages about coexistence, peace, and freedom. Just like the song that we've been listening to. His artwork can be found all over the world and consistently aim at unifying communities and redressing stereotypes. Born in 1981 in Paris, to Tunisian parents, he spoke only the Tunisian dialect at home. He found that Arabic calligraphy was a way of building a link between his French and Tunisian backgrounds. A recurrent theme in his art is this exploration of identity. We talked about belonging and identity, and the universal longing for connection and belonging. His work has been shown all over the world, from the demilitarized zone in Korea all the way to the garbage collectors city in Cairo. And you had fantastic collaborations with the likes of Louis Vuitton with Le Foulard de l'Artiste project, and you won a number of awards, just to name a few of them, the UNESCO Sharjah Prize for Arab Culture, and you were named the Global Thinker in 2016 by the Foreign Policy for your project Perception. So our dear Fawzi, like every journey, and yours has certainly been an amazing one. Where did it all start? Is it when you wanted to be an animator at Disney?
Maybe. Look, I don't recall the time where I wanted to live fully as an artist. But I think you don't become an artist. You're an artist, and you just express yourself in a certain way. And I have memories of me drawing and painting since a young age. But growing up, I never had this, I think I would say like the people around me, I didn't have any artists around me. So saying like, I want to do this and make it a living was not even an option. So for me, it was just a hobby. I was painting, doing my thing, and then I just, I
you didn't have artists around you, but you grew up in an environment that was synonymous to creativity. People were curious. People were trying to express themselves in different ways. We were talking about dancing.
Yeah.
We were talking about music and the importance of rap music in urban areas. So maybe you didn't have artist collectives around you, but you were surrounded by creativity in a way.
I mean, it's later on, like dancing arrived a bit later on, but I was always drawing and painting, you know, and even my parents, I remember my dad, I think I was 14 or 15, I told him, I want to learn, you know, I found this woman who gives some drawing and painting class. And back in the days, it was like 100 francs per class. It was 2 hours class every Saturday. And so it was 15 euro, you know. And so I did 3 class, I remember. And then after 3 class, I remember the third Saturday, like, so I came, you know, with a nice drawing, you know. And it's like, so did you learn? I was like, I learned. Like, okay, good. So we finish here. You know, like, so,
that was it.
But that was, you know, for him, it was a good way to, you know, to you know, like we come for like a kind of modest background. So my dad was working in a car factory in Paris, and my mom, she was a nanny. So it was, you know, like they made, I think, everything they could, you know, to be sure that we're happy. And I have like this beautiful memory of I think my parents supporting me in my artistic journey. You know, as you mentioned, my dream was really to work as an animator, you know, for Disney. So I know Disney movie like Lion King and Aladdin, like in French, I know them by heart. So if you put the movie, you
can
so cute.
Yeah, I can do it, you know. And so there was in our city in Paris, there was a library where we used to buy books for school. You know, so usually when you have to order a book for school, it was never more than, you know, 7 euro. That was the price of a book.
That's it, yeah.
So I told my dad, I remember it was in 95 or 96. I said like, I have a book I need to buy. I don't know, I saw the book on TV. It was about Pinocchio. A book about the way they make Pinocchio.
Oh.
You know, so it was like not about the story of Pinocchio, but all
the
like
graphics.
The technical drawing. And me, I was getting into this. So I went to this shop called Malais, and I ordered like Pinocchio and stuff. So I ordered, and they said, okay, will be available in 5 days. So 5 days later, I come back. And so my dad gave me like 50 francs, you know, like the blue bill.
Yeah.
So I go like,
ago, 50 francs.
So I go like because I think it would cost maximum this price. So I go to buy it, and then the guy tell me 800 francs, like almost like,
what?
Wow.
like 140, 130
Yeah.
euro. And so I came back home, and then where is the book? It's like, no, it's too expensive. You know what I mean? So much. So I give him the price. And that's it. Khalas, I'm done. I forgot about it. 2 days later, I come home, find the book.
Oh, wow. So
That's hard.
it almost feels like your dad knew that there was something in you that needs that little seed.
Yeah, the seed, yeah.
Seed to nourish.
That's a good way
It's
to
like,
say it.
you know, for him to actually go that way, and even to say yes to the first 3 lessons,
Yeah.
like there was some pulse over there that maybe he knew and he saw.
I think, you know, my dad, you know, despite, you know, like where we come from, he was really like with us, you know, like even recently I had a friend of mine, you know, like we grew up in the same neighborhood, and we met for a coffee. And then he was telling me about some issue that he had in his family. And he said, I said, you know, your dad was always there. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, he was coming like to the soccer game, you know, like sometimes we see him like when we finish school, he was coming to get you. You know, even if I were living 5 minutes away from the school, it's like, yeah. Me, I don't recall a time where my dad was there.
Was present.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's true. My dad was there, like, and I thank God for him, and God bless him and my mom. They were always there. Like, my dad was interested in what we were doing. So it's like, you cannot not do anything. That was his rule. Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, when there was no school in France, you have to do something. You cannot stay, chill.
Yeah.
And he was forbidding us to hang out, like going out with more than 2 people. You know,
Right.
you see, like when you're more than 2 people,
Okay.
you get in trouble.
Yeah.
So I was never allowed like to. So that was a rule. Like we had like those weird rules, you know. And when you grow up, then you understand, you know, because there's this effect of mass. You know, when you're more kids, like you start doing.
La meute.
Yeah, exactly. You start doing like stupid stuff, you know. And he was right.
But you know, I hear that, and it's like it was like a set of rules or guidance, but these never turned into obstacles.
Yeah.
So they were part of a challenge that you were, you know, growing up in such an environment, being careful about what you spend on what, and, you know, and encouraging, but at the same time, encouraging you in your artistic endeavor or in your passion. But so it's interesting, this dichotomy between rules but not becoming obstacles.
My teacher, Gabrielle Roth, I have a dance teacher, 5 Rhythms, and she used to say, do you have the discipline to be a free spirit? And it's kind of, again, the paradox between you need the discipline in order to really have the biggest container possible to become a free spirit. And it feels like, again, the containment of the chaos of potentially being in a group that's destructive, and your dear dad's love and presence that got you to where you're at now.
And just have you continued to live with this kind of duality of obstacles, opportunities, challenges, overcoming them? Because people always talk about the current success, but we forget, and we were just chatting earlier, it's like we forget that actually to get to this level of success or exposure or recognition or satisfaction, we go through a journey and a path of many obstacles. And the trick is, how do we turn these obstacles into enablers? How we turn a challenge
I actually want to go one step before. I feel like we've assumed so much. We've put in all these obstacles. We don't even know. What were your obstacles? Did you have any challenges along the way?
No, I think, like when you... I always look at the background, where I come from. And I don't see at obstacles. For example, people had like this conversation with this art foundation in France recently. And one of the women, she was like really trying to she wanted me to say, she was talking about obstacles. So what was the obstacles like for you to reach where you are? I'm like, no, it's not an obstacle. It's like just a choice that I have to make and different path that I have to take. That's how I look at it. My path is different than somebody else. Yes, maybe I'm not coming from a family of collectors. So having access to people from the world that I am today was not more difficult. It was just a different path. And so along the way, I meet other people. And so I don't take this as a fatality. You're coming from a modest background. No, so the path is, for me, it's more enjoyable today to say look, last week I was at this dinner with this Hollywood star and this minister, and I'm sitting between them and I look at them. It make me smile. It make me laugh, and I love this because, you're predestined, people say, this is going to be your destiny.
Yes.
You have to go through this. You're coming from this part of the world. Your dad did this. So if you reach this, be grateful.
Yes.
And I was never like that. I hated this, but this is good for you. What do you mean this is good for me? Would you accept this for yourself?
Amazing.
And so that was the thing. I was looking at it this way. And then, stepping back a bit, I was like, okay, for me, it's like sometimes the fact that you don't have the choice, and I think sometimes the fact that today, for example, when you go to France and you want to eat cookies, I don't think here, like in the Middle East or even in the US, cookies or yogurt, I think, in France, that's the biggest challenge, because you have so much choice, but when sometimes you don't have the choice,
Correct.
You need to reach a place and the option that you have that are in front of you are so not multiple. So you're like, okay, I'm going to go with this and I'm going to put everything in this thing to make sure I succeed with this. And it's limited resources, but it depends on how you use them.
And I love that.
That's it.
I love that because you just helped us redefine the frame of this conversation. With turning obstacles. And thank you, Lina, for
Well, I could sense that we were putting words into his mouth.
Sometimes when you prepare for a session, for a conversation, you go like this.
So many assumptions.
But you just jolted us back into, hold on for a minute. We're not talking about obstacles. We're talking about options, choices.
Yes, choices.
And this has a much more...
It opens it up.
It opens it up
more,
because we're conditioned that, oh my God, if I succeeded, look at what I went through to succeed. But what I went through doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing.
No.
It could be, I went through a different variety of options.
An array of choices.
Exactly.
And basically the point I want to just pause at is what resources do you use to make one choice or the other? What is the impulse? Because you're an artist, there's an impulse.
Yeah.
So what made you move forward with each array of choices?
There is a friend of mine. I don't know if you watched his podcast. We painted the wall together, and then he wrote on the wall, even même immobile, je reste en mouvement. Even like when I'm not moving, I'm still in the move, you know. And it was like we painted this like 16 years ago together. Imagine. And then this was really a kind of lesson for me, because that's the thing, you know. Like for me, it's like not doing anything, you know, like staying at the same place. So making a choice going left or right, it's more like, okay, even if this is not exactly what I want to do, I'm still moving forward, you know. And today I realize, actually, for the past few months, that sometimes you just need to do stuff, even if you don't have the resources. I always look at that. I have a project in my head, I'm like, okay, I will do it anyway, even if it's not the time.
Yeah.
Because people, they always say like, make sure everything is ready, you know. And when actually it's, you know, you start flying and then you adjust, you know, like then that's the same thing, you know. A baby, you won't tell him like, don't walk now, like wait until you're sure like you have your perfect balance, so you don't fall. No, you start and then you adjust on the way. Otherwise you won't do anything.
Beautiful.
And that's I think today that's how I do stuff. Even it's not perfect, it's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect.
As you're doing.
It's beautiful.
Just doing it. Yeah.
It's almost like, okay, there's two things that caught my attention here. It's almost like what your dad does every weekend, keeps you moving, you know. Every weekend when you were children, that was one little conditioning that sometimes we forget about, that we keep moving. So you're riding that wave of motion, because life is in motion anyway, and you're just riding it. And for an artist, I always find that absolutely inspiring. That's why I said, what is the impulse? Because there's always an impulse, and there's always an impulse, and and it's in constant motion. There's none of that. Let's put structure. Let's get it perfect.
Frame it.
You guys are always moving with life.
It's flowing.
And flowing.
But you need a structure. You need a structure.
Keeps it together.
Today, like I see it. I see it, you know, like you definitely need at least a base on what you can rely on, you know. At the beginning, when, you know, like you're just alone and doing your thing, but as you grow, you think you definitely need a set, not rules, you know. I hate the rules, you know, like in a way, mostly in the artistic way, when people say, oh, don't do it this way, people make it this way, why don't you try this, oh no, this wouldn't work, I hate this, or like the word impossible, you know. So that's the thing that frees me when I speak with somebody and someone tells me like, no, you cannot do this, it's impossible. I'm like, frame it differently, like say it like, how can we do it differently?
Tell us about olive trees.
Olive trees, like I think they're the symbol of patience and wisdom and belonging. You know, I have a big reflection, mostly like just to give the background of this. I have a farm in Tunisia with my family.
In Gabes.
In Gabes, in south of Tunisia. And so we harvest olives and we produce olive oil. And we have a brand that's called Takape, which is actually olive oil and art. So I'm combining both. So we offer, I don't want to say sell, I don't like the word selling. So we offer like a collectible, a piece of art with olive oil in it. So the idea is like every year, this collectible, so when you finish the olive oil, you keep the piece, so you don't throw the bottle. And the idea is like every year, we change the artist on the bottle. So on the launch of the brand, I was the artist, so I collaborated with myself, you know, with the brand. And then we have like 2 artists coming for the next season. And the idea is to combine both, and also to show, like for me, it's really showing to my family, my community in south of Tunisia that we have so much richness and showing the worth of the land that we have. And people sometimes they forget the worth of just like having a tree. You know, I mean, you don't have it, but the fact that you can come and touch it and take the fruits from it. And you know, I believe that, you know, nobody, I mean, the real native of a land is the tree. And when you're connected to you know, like to the trees, like that allows you to get rooted to a place. And that's
beautiful. I remember we were chatting last week, and you told me the real owners of the land, the real indigenous of the land are the trees, and nothing symbolizes there more than the olive tree.
And they don't speak a language. I
They
mean,
do speak a language.
They do, but they don't. They're not attached to one specific language. At least in my opinion, I'm Palestinian, and when I went to Palestine the first time, I realized I was dancing, and at the end of my dance, I was listening to the earth, and the earth was telling me, by the way, we don't speak Arabic, we don't speak Hebrew, we're the earth. We speak the world.
Yeah.
So we're custodians. It felt to me that we're custodians. We're
sure,
temporary custodians.
It goes back to what Fauzi was saying earlier when we were listening to the music. It's like we are defined by a certain identity. We're defined by, and we're not necessarily, what we want to be. And our identity is in constant movement. Our identity is in constant evolution. And that's what I think what you meant by talking about the trees not speaking a language, because that in a way defines you, which is paradoxical, because your art, your passion started by your desire to speak the language, to express yourself by that language.
But I feel what you mean, Lina. Like, I think for me, like the trees, the olive trees, mostly they speak the same language, and then the farmer or the people around the trees are the translator.
Yes.
And then you realize that somebody in Spain, somebody in Palestine, somebody in Morocco, Tunisia, Greece, Italy, they will have exactly the same way as understanding the tree. You know what I mean? And then they will express it with the language. And that's how I see it, because I have a friend of mine who's an artist who actually is going to collaborate on the next bottle. He came to Gabes like a few weeks ago, and he told me my grandfather has a farm, and then he passed away, and now like seeing what's happening in the farm, like showing like the love actually that you have for the land, like really like you motivated me to take over this farm, and keep those trees alive and making sure that they're taken care of, and
beautiful.
And so it allows you, like the tree really allows you to root yourself,
I feel like it's defining our language rather than us defining it. It's much larger. I mean, going back to your art and how it's what I understood as well is that it's democratized, as in you don't want to even own it. Even I hate the word selling. Like I don't own this to sell it. Like I just caught on that, and it feels like it's more eternal than we are, and we're in a moment in time capturing what it's telling us, what it's whispering to us in the moment. And that's what I loved about also looking at your artwork, because there's that meditation that's connecting back into the roots of what the tree, listening to it, bringing it back, but then I don't own it, I release it. Am I getting some of that?
I mean, the fact that I work in the public space mostly allow me, like, it taught me that to detach myself from the artwork that I create. So I own the artwork while I'm doing it. So I would get mad at somebody if I'm painting something and somebody come and damage it or destroy it or paint over me while I'm doing it, I get mad. But as soon as I'm finished and somebody comes, I'm fine. And so I have like work, for example, that I finished, but I don't even have a picture of the work finished. There's one piece I did like 11 years ago in Tunisia, and then on the street where I was doing it, there was no light. And I finished, it was really dark. So I was like finishing, like with the light of the phone and stuff. Came back the next day around noon to take a picture, and somebody came during the night and scratched it with a screwdriver. Imagine, and so I don't get mad. For me, it was beautiful. I loved it because I was like, this guy has so so much frustration inside of him that he expressed himself on the wall, and I would have loved to to meet him or see him doing it, to understand why he was doing that.
But it goes back to what we were saying earlier, this lack of curiosity in our world today, which is building these walls among people, which is preventing us from knowing each other, having our own identities interact with each other. So I like that idea. Somebody who came and damaged your work, and all you thought about is that, or added to it.
It was evolving in the space. It was a movement in community.
And all you thought about is, I want to meet him to understand why. One of the things we do, we reach out to friends of our guests, and we did reach out to some of your friends. I can see him getting a little bit concerned now. So and they sent us their questions. So I'll play them.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
You know, you can.
Est-ce qu'il se rappelle de Fawzi à Tebelbou? Et pourrait-il te partager l'histoire derrière le son qui a marqué le début de son parcours?
Salim is my cousin, and I didn't know he was my cousin. That's the funny part.
Oh,
Yeah. So in France, you know, like Tebelbou is like the little village where we come from in Gabes, where we have our house, and every summer coming from France, you know, like you have an accent in Arabic, and then you see somebody speaking French, so you start talking to them, and then you become friends, you know. And so I think from the age of 14, like every summer when I used to go to Tunisia, I used to hang out with a group of maybe 20. There was a group of 20 French people. All of them, they were cousins. And me and my brothers were like, okay, just friend of them.
Yeah.
And in 98, one of them, his sister, she had like a bac, you know, so she graduated from high school. So they made a party. Okay. And so we went to the party, and then at this time, 98, I was dancing, I was break dancing. And Salim, I met him first time like maybe 4 weeks before
before that
you
party.
know, like before the party. And because my friend, they knew I was breakdancing, they say, we have our cousin, he breakdance as well. So Salim, he came, he showed me some move, I showed him some move, and I was like, look, my cousin, Walt Khalti, is organizing the festival of Tebelbou. He said, like, we want you to do a show. And then I was like, show with who? I don't have anybody. I just have you. And he's like, there is this guy, Kamel, he dance as well. So then in 5 days, we created this show, you know, like, and we did a show like where, you know, like like for the festival of Tebelbou. And just to come back to this party, and I will tell you why the ho-ho. So we go to this party, we dance, and then the mom of this girl and this guy in the house, they're like, okay, so amazing, thank you for dancing, it was beautiful, blah blah blah. Inta wul shkun, who is you? And so usually when a woman asks you, you're the son of who, you respond by your mom. When it's a dad, you respond by your dad. When it's a man, you respond by your dad. So I was like, أنا والجنات. جنات ميزوري. No, جنات بنت خالتي. My mom and his mom, they were cousins. It's like, no way.
You found each other on the dance floor.
And that was crazy. So then, like, from this, like, these 20 guys that I used to hang out, like, during the summer, became all my cousin. And so Salim became
your
cousin.
cousin.
My goodness.
So I didn't know. So that's funny. And so I was hanging with people that, you know, because we were not living in the same part in Paris, and our parents were not really in touch. So I didn't know.
So you had to go back to Gabes?
Yeah, to meet my
to meet your cousin
from France. Yeah,
and to have a major group, major community instead of the small hangout. You had a huge hangout instantly.
Yeah, and so in '98 we did this show with Salim and this guy called Kamel, and then like the crowd, like they were like singing this like Yafa, who is he? Yafa, you know, and that was because there was a soccer player called Fawzi Rouissi.
Okay.
And so like in the stadium they used to sing like Fawzi.
So they gave you the football chant for your dancing.
that was funny. We have that on video, which is funny.
This is the first time while you're telling all the stories, your eyes just lit up.
Okay.
Right.
Just lit up. What about this? What about this moment is just
I think it's fun. It was that was a memory, you know, as a kid, you know, because we share this, so we have pictures and videos, and then that's, you know, I think that was a time that, I mean, it's your youth. I mean, I'm still young, but thinking of it, you know, like how, like, I mean, meeting all my cousins, meeting part of my family in a way that was, I mean, through art with dance, you know. And then that was the same year, 98, I painted the wall in Tebelbou, like that lasts for maybe 25 years. I think it was erased like two years ago or a year ago, you know. So that's why, like, you when you say like the beginning of, so
that's
that was,
it.
Yeah.
I do have another question from somebody else.
Okay.
Gangs, bro, I have a question for you. What you just say or do if you saw Paula today?
Yes, Ammar, friend of mine who was was actually we were not friend at the beginning. We I don't know, me had like some rivalry with him, you know, like even in him, like he didn't. That was funny. And also like so Amar was dancing in the north part of my city in Paris, and I was in the south. And so we had our group, and we used to have this place where we used to dance. And Ammar used to, I remember he used to come. He had like a white Vespa. He used to stand like that and watch us, really watch us, and then not say anything and leave.
Just leave.
Leave. No word, nothing.
So he would watch you dance and just go.
leave, you know? It was so weird. And then we're in the same high school. And for me, like, I was like, oh, this guy is so weird. And there was a show at the end of the school, at the end of the year. And, they needed like a break dancer. So me and him were like the two dancers in the high school. And so they said, okay, guys, we need you to do a show together. So me, I was like, I don't want to do a show with him. But you know, we're like kind of forced to do it. So I'm like, okay, you do your thing, I do my thing. So you come, you do your move, I come, I do my move, and
just don't step into my space.
That's it. And then it was funny because when we did the show, like when I was entering to dance, like everybody from my neighborhood, they were screaming, you know. And then when he was entering, people were screaming. So it started like this little battle, and it was nice. And then we became friends after this thing. And then he became part of, you know, of our group, our little crew. And later on, you know, I told him about these stories. Like, you know, Fawzi was
somewhere else.
Yeah, I was not even looking. I was not even thinking of this. And the funny thing also, and I remember that now, is that I used to play soccer. Okay, and I focused only on breakdancing because I got a red card in soccer.
Oh,
because I indirectly insulted the referee. I didn't insulted him. It's because somebody.
That's what you say.
No. Look, what happened?
Curious,
what happened? Like,
like.
I was playing in the same team with my brother, and somebody like you know made a fault. And instead of saying fault, they would say like he was in touche.
Okay. Yeah.
And my brother was mad and I was like, leave him, c'est un bouffon, like he's stupid. And the referee heard me.
Thought he was talking, you were talking about him.
Yeah, I was talking about him.
You were?
So my brother was like, you know, saying like, oh, you know, like a referee, you're wrong. It's like, go, leave him, c'est un bouffon, he's stupid. And he heard me. And then he put me a red card and I was forbid to play the full year, any game.
The whole year?
Yeah, the whole year I couldn't play.
That's harsh.
The rest of the season. So I was like, if I cannot play the game on Sunday, there's no point for me to go to the training during the week. So I just focused on breakdancing.
So you kept on moving again. Here's another opportunity.
But the funny part, but the funny part is like Ammar, we are playing against Ammar.
Oh,
yeah, on this game, you know.
So that's the source of the rivalry. You know,
no, but me, I didn't notice, and then he was and then my brother told me, he was like, yeah, but they were twins, Ammar and Kader, like so they're twins brother, and so he's like, yeah, they were playing à Issy-les-Moulineaux, like against us. I was like, yeah, actually. So that was funny. And
so
then
destiny brought you back together anyway.
Exactly.
Brought you back together one way or the other.
Yeah. And Paola is like somebody we met once at a show, and this woman Paola, she had like this. She was from Spain or Portugal, and I don't know. She was really against me. She had something against me, and she was like, "I'm gonna do my birthday. I'm gonna invite everybody except you, Fawzi." And you know, and so like,
another red card.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then you know, so she was saying that actually, she's like, Paola, no, Fawzi, tu es dans la zone rouge. She was saying that, yeah. So you're in the red zone for me, and then you know, this became like a joke between us. So every time I was saying things like,
so that's why Ammar is asking you that.
Yeah. What would you say to Paola? I would just say like, Paola, like you became a joke, but. I would love to know what she became.
I do have one more question.
Okay.
Let's hear it out.
Yo, what's up le F? En indé, en total indé. You always said, you know, when we are talking for hours, that your heart is about bringing people together. Do you have any plans to teach on this art to the next generation?
That's
Amazing.
Mamadou. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, bringing people together and like I think teaching, you know, like I don't think you can teach art because for me art has no rules, you know, like so I think you inspire, you show, you know, like something that has worked for me wouldn't work for somebody else. Something that has worked for someone might not work for me. So the idea I always say to like emerging artists, find your own path. You know, like, of course, take a bit of me if you're inspired by what I've done. Take from somebody else. take from someone else again, and then make your own sauce and do something that belongs to you. You know, because we all have different paths. We have a different, as you said, we mentioned earlier, like different layers in our identity that make us react to stuff in a different way. Me, I love, you know, like connecting with people. I love the human experience, and I think my art, beyond the calligraphy and the large scale stuff, it's like really those moments, you know, that I share with the people when I do my project. And if I have something to transmit to the next generation, I think it's really like doing something that you do out of love and passion, you know, like, and really doing it for this, not for the sake of being loved or liked by people or for the hype of social media. You know, I have like this thing where people say right now, like, create art, not content, you know, and and I think now, like, you know, some people, they tell me, oh, Fawzi, you should do this online, you know, like you can do like a real, create a buzz on your work. And I'm like, it's not creating a buzz on my work. A buzz is like a buzz, it's a bubble, you just go and then blow up. Yeah. So my point is not that, you know, I really want to see how having an impact for, not even having an impact, I hate this word, you know, like, inspire people, you know, like in a way or other. But I like this impact. What's your impact? That's something that, how do you, you know, like when you talk about impact, you talk about measurement and you have to quantify. Yeah. But how do you measure, I mean, pride, you know, how do you measure like, pride, for example. Let's say I go to a place and I do an artwork and I've seen people telling me like, we're so proud that we have this in our neighborhood.
How do you measure sentiments and feelings?
So that's,
I've never heard that before, and I love it. How do you measure impact? Like when it's something that is so non-tangible and so eternal. It's so eternal, and so, although in my mind it's positive, and you said no, it's inspiration. Again, one more like open space, open-ended. It's an ongoing impact on movement. That's beautiful.
But I think that's sometimes the problem that people they don't see like the importance of art, you know, because they cannot quantify it. You know, like when you work in a municipality or I don't know, like in the government, people won't understand the power that art brings to the people because they say, okay, what does it bring? Give me numbers. We created a piece of art and it brought like 128 more people into the neighborhood. You know, like we cannot say this, you know, and so that's for me the issue.
What are you trying to inspire then? Forget what are you trying to impact. What are you trying to inspire?
I mean, just showing to people around us that what we have in common is our humanity. You know, and that's why, you know, I proposed this song at the beginning, you know, our humanity. And I've seen it in so many places around the world. You know, I created artwork more out of the Arab world than in the Arab world. And people sometimes, they ask me this kind of really stereotype question. Oh, so why was the Arab influence in your work? What, you know, like, what's your target? And I'm like, I don't have a target. I use messages that are relevant to the place where I am. So in Korea, I use Korean poetry translated into Arabic. In Brazil, it's Portuguese poetry translated into Arabic. So the idea is to show like how you create those bridges. I come to you and I bring my culture, which is this language, which I think Arabic script is universal because of the shape, you know, the shape of the letter.
Right.
They speak to your soul before they reaches your eyes. I always say that. But for me, it's like I take something from you and I make it, you know, something that we both can understand, you know.
It reaches your soul before you see it in your eyes.
Yes, you know, that is beautiful.
And this is the essence of expression. And that's why I personally, I'm not a critic, I'm not an expert, but I always appreciated street art because when it started as a form of expression, whether it's in Brooklyn, whether it's, you know, the taggers, the earlier les taggeurs, you know, and I remember back in the 90s, I lived for a while in Dubai, I would go and find just a simple, you know, somebody just writing, and Nasrawi al-Qalb, you know, Nasrawi is, you know, Lam ya Habibti. And then the next day, the municipality, I would see like a white paint over it because the municipality came and, you know, and brushed it. So, but that was the essence of street art at the beginning. It's a way of expressing emotions and feelings, and statement maybe becomes too kind of, you know, framed. But
beautiful that your statement, I mean, is humanity. That to me is what also touched my heart. Like there are usually political statements or harsh statements or the young ones who are, but your statement is that of humanity. And I want to understand, where did that come from? Where did that start? I'm curious about that.
I don't know. Like I don't think I can answer that. I don't see like the starting point. I don't know. I think, I guess I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's arrogant to say like you're interested in other people or other culture or in a way, but we were always surrounded by people, you know. So my family like we always had people at home. My parents always had like, you know, gathering like on the weekend with the family. So we were always having people around us and always mixing, you know, like we're Arab family with Arab people mostly, but then you always like this white guy coming and having, you know, like the white neighbor coming and you know, like having this mix, you know. And I remember like we used to bring, you know, like some French friends to Tunisia like during the summer sometime, and so for my family they were like, oh, who's that? You know, that was like this guy called Jean-Yves.
It's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, again, I know many people who use calligraphy, not in each one distinctly, but calligraphy is always a meditation or basically expressing one's Arab nature. For you, it's building a bridge. Yeah. It is about building a bridge.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, like it's Arabic calligraphy who allows me to reconcile my identity, because in France, or, you know, I grew up, I was born and raised in Paris. So in France, people never make you feel you're fully French. Mm-hmm. In Tunisia, like during the summer, they were always making you feel you're not fully Tunisian. Yes. And even yesterday, somebody asked me, so you're half French, half Tunisian? And I was like, no, I'm full French and full Tunisian. Yes. Yeah. Not nos, you know. Mm-hmm. So the Arabic calligraphy allowed me actually to reconcile this, you know, because I was so interested into my Arabic roots, you know. And I realized later on that if I was not French, I would never be interested in Arabic, because for me it was exotic, you know. That was this kind of exotic part. I was like, oh, this is so cool, you know. And so I realized later that it's art, Arabic calligraphy, that allow me to reconcile this. So even today I do mention, or I don't say that I'm you know, I'm French or Tunisian. When people say, where are you originally from? And I ask them, I always respond by geographically or historically. Yes. And when you say historically, like they say, what do you mean? And then you understand that you're like the product of history. I don't belong here or there. It's just, you know, like if you check, my dad came to France, and because I was born and raised in France, going to Tunisia every summer, having this clash of cultural identity made me what I am today, you know. So it's
that continuous movement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, Fawzi, this was so inspiring.
Thank you, Raja. Thank you, Lina.
Thank you.
We can't thank you enough. We really can't thank you enough for what you have shared with us, the insights, the kindness, the stories of La Cité, even though we don't like calling it La Cité, you know, the early days, that sense of community, the love that you have shared with us.
And making choices.
And we can't but wish you, you know, not success, you have it already, but pleasure and joy in everything you're going to do next.
Thank you, guys.
And many more bridges, more.
More of them. This has been Forward Moves by Lina Nahhas and Raja Haddad, a conversation about the path of the successful journey of Fawzi, El Cid, as we know him, through his work. Our producer is Sai. We have been recording at the Podster studio in Dubai. If you liked our episode, share it with your friends, leave us a comment, and do give us a 5-star rating. Until then, keep moving forward.